Okay, everybody. Hey, it's Michael Tucker. Just really coming to you live here, and Marketo Champion, and I'm available to be able to help you with your Marketo instances. And so, one of the things that I wanted to do is just share a little bit about some of the interesting concepts that are coming up here in 2024 that impact your Marketo instance. And so one of the things that I think is important to kind of look at is the change in the go-to-market motions that we're seeing across the board. Back in the old days, when Marketo was really being constructed for the first time, there is a feature that was introduced that really helped to be able to kind of close the loop on reporting from your marketing activities to what's happening with your sales pipeline. And that feature was called Revenue Cycle Analytics. So I'm going to show it to you here for a second inside of my Marketo instance. If I go into my analytics section and I go into Revenue Cycle Modeler and I click Group Models, you can see a couple of different samples that are here and a couple that I've built out. So here is the sample that we normally see. I'll click on it here and then show you a preview. And I presented on this at DigiMarcon here in Charlotte a couple of months ago, about, okay, here's what the path normally looks like. And so we'll share with you that presentation. But the path, normally what this does is it helps you as a marketer to be able to conceptualize how your leads are moving throughout the customer journey in your business. So this is a sample, but it can be customized. And so this green path is called a success path. It's the shortest point from the time that a customer becomes first aware of you to the time when they've actually completed a purchase. So there's all these different steps along the way. Now, a lot of these have been updated and built over the years after a waterfall model that was pioneered by a group called Serious Decisions that I think is now Gardner has acquired them. And it's great because it really helps you to understand the different milestones of where a given lead is relative to other leads. And it helps you to be able to kind of bulk together, okay, are most of my leads in one stage or another stage, and what do I need to focus my time on as a marketer to move somebody closer to be able to purchase. So anyway, I want to show that to you with the example of really a change that is happening in the model to be able to address kind of what's happening now with sales pipeline. Okay, so historically, when you looked at this, and let me put this into full screen just so you can see it all together here, right? But historically, when you looked at sales pipeline, you'd have all of the kind of historical kind of top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, right? And that's what you'd be working on to be able to generate a sale. The bottom of this funnel was always, did you hit close one status? And talk to me a little bit about what the size of the deal was and how fast it took for you to be able to complete that deal. But it didn't account for all of the changes that are happening with existing customers. And how do you build a repeat purchase, which is really important in this day and age, especially with the economy and some of the turbulence that we have happen. It's important to keep track of your existing customers and to be able to nurture them through the process, as well as building pipeline for new customers. And so this group called Winning by Design, who have got their book, was at one of their presentations at a conference last year, and I think that they are really ahead of the curve when it comes to working in this space. And so, Jocko Vanderkosh, this is completely your material for this bow tie model. But what has changed with that is we want to incorporate the left-hand side, which is the sales pipeline that we have, with the right-hand side, which is a little bit different, which talks a little bit more about how do you build repeat customers and how do you handle customer success as a part of the customer journey? Because ultimately, you want a customer to continue to make purchases with you. What's that old Harvard Business Review's quote, that it's 7 times more expensive to be able to get a new customer than to keep an existing one. And so you want to be able to keep your existing customers, so customer satisfaction becomes that much more important. And platforms like Zendesk and like other customer service platforms are really important to be able to keep those existing customers and measure things like just customer success metrics, basically, right? Like net promoter score, things like that, right? So what we have done is we've updated this model with revenue cycle analytics. So just flipping back into here to add the bow time model to our Marketo instance. So you don't have to buy anything after you do this. But what this means is that when a lead comes through your pipeline, they don't end at close one. They go through this cycle afterwards. And what's really important is we want them to be in the using stage. So not only have they bought a contract to be able to work with you, but they are also now actively using the software and they're seeing value across their business for it, which is ultimately what we really want. A customer that sees continuous value from the product or service that you're selling is going to not only keep that product or service, but ideally they're going to refer it to their friends. And so it'll grow your user base and it helps that user base to be able to advocate. Even the work that I'm doing right now with Marketo is helping to be able to advocate a software platform that I have found tremendous value in implementing for different clients over the years. And so, that's really where we want to be able to start to move our go to market processes, which is kind of a concept that's been around for a bit, but it's a concept that's really emerging right now as people are, realigning to the differences in economics that we're seeing in our environment. So to that end, let me show you a little bit of a presentation that we did at DigiMarcon, and then I'll open it up afterwards. If you have any questions, you're welcome to be able to tie them into the chat in whichever platform you're watching this from, and I'll be happy to answer those. If you find this interesting as well, feel free to send me an email or go ahead and give me a phone call directly. This is my direct cell phone line. It's 704-451-3685. And I'd love to be able to speak to you a little bit about this. You can also follow me on LinkedIn. So, just a couple of ways that we can kind of interact with each other. But in the meantime, let me go ahead and actually show you the presentation, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at revenue cycle modeling. So this is a feature that has been included inside of Marketo Engage for quite a long time. It's about 10 years old at the time of this recording. But the underlying principles in your business don't go away, and this is really measuring. This is a direct screenshot by the way, inside of the product itself. But you're really measuring the customer journey as people move from this through this green bar, which is called the success path, which is really kind of the critical path if you think about it from a project management standpoint. As people move through being anonymous and then being acquired, known in the database, being marketing accepted, marketing qualified, sales accepted, sales qualified, and ultimately going through a purchase opportunity and then deciding whether you are close won or close lost. This is that old school sales cycle side of things. Notice that it ends when you're at one or if you're lost. That's it. It just takes you to the point of being a customer and then it ends there. There's just a hard fast stop, right? So, and historically, this left-hand side was marketing. This right-hand side was the sales side of the business. What we want to get to is moving beyond this left-hand side of the bow tie that we're talking about. And so on the right-hand side of the bow tie, then we're going to talk a little bit about the overall sales cycle. So you can see here that we still have the left-hand side that's still talking you through moving through that sales process of being able to get them to a signed state. So each of these boxes is a stage in your revenue cycle model, and it's basically measuring a milestone, if you will. And so all of the data from each of your campaigns is driving into that. If they're known, are they responding to a social media ad, or are they responding to a paid search ad? If they're interested, are they responding to a webinar, for example? Are they watching this webinar, for example? And you're moving them through the left-hand side of the bow tie. But in addition to that, we're now adding on the right-hand side. And so you'll see that the success path here doesn't end with signed. Signed is just one move through here that you're winning the business. We want to move them into onboarding and making sure that this is moved from a box to a stopwatch here to measure that it's a service level agreement, that you only have so much time to give a successful onboarding for the service and the tools that you're providing here. What's really successful is actually having the client use this software and service in order to be able to make that a functional part of their business. So the next piece of this is moving them through growing and then advocating for you. Now they don't have to grow or advocate for you in order to have a successful relationship. They might be using your software for years before they decide to be able to advocate for it. I've been an advocate historically for Marketo before the Adobe acquisition for years before it really started to get involved with user groups, and was using it as an employee before in another shop before starting Conversion Store. And so understand that that's okay. That still creates a lot of value. We want to be able to move people through this process because as they continue using it and then growing their relationship with it, it leads to that exponential growth. You're still getting the payments from the relationship that you have with them, and you're also expanding that with the acquisition your work that you're doing on the left-hand side of the bow tie to build new business as well. So we want to see people move towards this part where they're going back afterwards and advocating, and then going back into being interested in buying more products or services from you. It's what creates compound growth. We quantify all of that data in order to be able to try and measure that lifetime value for everybody who's familiar with those equations. And we're not getting into the equations behind that today, but it's the same lifetime value that you probably learned in school. And then comparing that with your CAC, your cost of acquisition, and really aiming to make sure that you're spending the money to acquire customers, but your overall lifetime with them is a 3-to-1 type of a ratio. So we want to be able to build the three stages of revenue like we talked about at the beginning of this: acquisition, retention, and expanding. Building out relationships with new clients, continuing the relationships with existing clients, and creating so much value that those existing relationships help to expand new relationships. So what happens when you combine the two of these is you have your data model, and then we're actually operationalizing that within the left-hand side of your revenue cycle model that's in Marketo. So this is tied directly into your email marketing, in terms of your webinar marketing, in terms of all of the other sales processes that you're going through Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics. And then also measuring that against the recurring revenue that you're getting from building out successful customer relationships. And so tying that back into your database as well too. This is preferable for you. It costs less to be able to acquire customers when you have existing customers that are talking about the value that they're realizing in working with you. It allows you to be able to automatically generate referral business, because it's not automatic. I mean, you are making a concerted effort to be able to build upon that, right? And so you're building long-term reputation, and you're moving away from this spot of saying, well, hopefully we have enough business to be able to survive in economically turbulent times, but we have enough existing clients that we're continuing to work with to continue to build out those returns on investment. And so it helps to buffer you in times where the economy might be taking a bit of a nosedive. And then the last piece of this is as the as the macroeconomics, as the cost of money increases, then this helps you to be able to build something that's more stable, to be able to survive some of the changes. If another interest rate increase happens, or another three interest rate increases happen over the next year, well, you have the existing goodwill that you've generated with the clients that you have, and so it allows you to be able to kind of negotiate some of those waters, because you have kind of a reciprocal relationship here. And so that's the value of revenue architecture. Now we're going to get into the spot where we talk a little bit about some of the challenges that are coming up here in 2024 that we need to be able to address. Excuse me, I'm mute there. So that was the presentation. That was one part of it. And then afterwards, we talk a little bit about some of the challenges coming up in 2024. One of the things that we'll talk about in a future session here over the next couple of days is the back and forth between whether third-party cookies are going away or they're not going away, and what that kind of means to you as a marketer and as an advertiser, especially too, that's doing remarketing or retargeting. So those are important concepts to be able to cover, and that's why it's important to be able to have somebody who has experience working with Marketo, but also has experience understanding some of the nuances within the business environment. And so, definitely would love to be able to talk to you if you own Marketo and you are working on being able to build out and upsize the efficiency of your Marketo instance. If you want to be able to grow your business, if you want to be able to build more leads and expansion on it, I would love to be able to connect with you and talk to you a little bit more about that. Again, my information is here. It's Michael at conversionstore.com, or you can call me directly at 704 451 3685. And I'd love to be able to speak with you a little bit more. Also, if you find this material helpful, would you do me a favor and please comment and like it and share it with your friends on different networks and on your community, basically. It would help me tremendously to be able to get word of mouth out about some of the work that I'm trying to do, to be able to help marketers like yourself make the most out of their Martech stack. And so I'm going to continue to be able to share some of the different things that are coming up, as well as projects that I've worked on over the past 7 years, working with Marketo and working with Martech stacks, and showcasing some of the different projects and all the different types of companies that I've helped over the years. So looking forward to being able to hear your stories and understand about some of the challenges that you are facing in your Martech stack. And also, what are your aspirations? Like, what do you want to be able to get from all of this? Do you currently use the winning by design revenue architecture model, or do you use serious decisions model, or do you not use a model at all, or do you have something else that you're using for a sales model as well, right? There's a number of different ones that are out there, and they are different parts of the winning by design curriculum in terms of being able to incorporate those into their operating system. So you don't have to have one or the other, but it's a good idea to be able to understand a little bit about how you consistently go to market in your business, to be able to guide what you're trying to accomplish from a marketing perspective, like a marketing communications perspective, and then also what you're trying to do from building out recurring business as well. So that's the presentation, and I hope you found this valuable, and look forward to seeing you in the next one.